And as he was going, a crowd was just, the multitude of people were getting bigger and bigger and following him. And he had the disciples with him. So this crowd was huge. But this woman, after trying everything else and nothing worked for her, she then said, if I can just touch Jesus. And my spirit always tells me that we don't have to get a lot of scripture. We don't have to have 10 million scriptures. Just that one little scripture, like she just touched his hem. One little scripture, and stand on it. And everything will change. And for me, I kept hearing, and it will come to pass. And it came to pass. And God promised me that my womb is blessed, and the children of my womb are blessed. And, and that's all I wanted to see. So, ended up with 3 children, and one of them, my last, was my daughter. And she was born premature, and I remember being in the hospital for months because I even remember what I was feeling the day I had her. I'm sorry. Because I didn't even look pregnant. She wasn't supposed to be born for at least another 3 months. And I remember being at my sister-in-law's house. And I said, wow, my stomach's really hurting. And my sister-in-law, Jeannie, is a nurse. And so Jeannie took me to the hospital where she worked, and I delivered my daughter. And I remember them saying to me, oh, because the doctor was hitting her and she wasn't waking up. And I remember Jeannie saying, don't worry about it. You'll have more children. We tried. And I'm thinking, that's not what God showed me. But I didn't know what I know now, the way I know it. And and I've always known to just say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I said that in myself, and even when I was in jail, I remember saying, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I walked out of jail. But now, before then, I had my daughter, and after 6 minutes, now she's supposed to be dead, I heard her cry. But I couldn't take her home because she was so premature. She was so small. And I remember my mother-in-law came from, my mother-in-law came from London, and she was a specialist with preemies. And she came and she took a look at my daughter, and she said, you'll be here with her for a few months, but she's going home. And one thing with preemies, they're fighters. You're going to see her, she's going to be bigger and bolder than your sons. And I'm thinking, okay. But I stayed in the hospital, and my daughter had to get to 5 pounds. And I remember there was another baby in the little preemie ward next to her. He was not even a pound, and they had named him Michael Jackson. But my daughter was about 4 pounds, and they would not let her leave until she became 5 pounds. So she's real tiny. They wouldn't even let me take her out of the incubator. I had to just put my little finger in there, and they gave her this tiny little bottle, and I could feed her, and I would want to stay in that preemie ward for days. And then one day, she got to 5 pounds, and I thought, this is the day I'm going to take her home. And I went back to my room, and they came to me and said, nope, she's lost weight again. Can't take her home yet. And I just stayed in the hospital with her, and then she got to the point where I could take her home. And I looked at my daughter and I said, whatever I dealt with when I had my sons, it's got to be different because I have a daughter now. I can't deal with certain things anymore. I got to be a better example for her. And years later, we bought our first house in Cambridge Heights, Queens. And I remember coming home one day, and my daughter was playing with the Ouija board, but I didn't know God the way I know God now, and I didn't know, and I thought, that's nothing, a Ouija board. but it's an open door to all sorts of witchcraft and negativity. And then I got a call from one of my friends, your daughter's in a homosexual relationship. And I'm thinking, not my daughter. No way. I didn't fight to bring her home for this. And so I said, you know what? I'm not even going to believe that. But I'm going to let her tell you the rest. Do you remember that?
I do. I do, and I lied my way out of it. I just kept lying and lying and lying and lying. But I remember the first time I actually realized it was not, I thought, growing up, seeing my mom